Hi everyone, good morning. This is Ida of Created to Create. I have a small haul I want to share with y'all. It is by Carnation Craft. It's a very small haul, but I want to share with you a little bit about it and hopefully give you more information because Carnation Craft is new to us here in the US, but they are a fairly new company in the UK as well. So I just want to explain to you a little bit about them and share what I picked up from them. They came out with a Nature's Grace quick card die set, and you can buy the dies individually or you can buy them as a bundle. I bought them as a bundle. They were pretty reasonable, and I'm going to share with you what they look like. So here's one of them. This one is a swan, as you can tell right there. And this one came in a real big packaging. I don't know why, but it did come in a very large packaging. But these pockets that they send their dies in are really nice. I have to give them that. And then here is the peacock one. And then they have an owl, which is this one. And I want to share with you how these work. So I'm going to take the peacock one out of the packaging. That way I can share it with y'all. I do have the larger ones that have the peacock and the swan. As a matter of fact, I have them handy here. Here is the Nature's Grace collection, the large one. There's the swan. Some of you watched Tamika's Scrap the World swaps. I did an embellishment book, a shaker embellishment book with this particular swan. I didn't use the card because it is a card frame die with, the swan and everything, but I used the swan on it. And then it also had the owl. And then it has the peacock. Now, when this collection came out, I bought the whole collection. So I have everything, the layering flowers and all of that. But I only used the swan on that swap, and it was gorgeous. I'm not tooting my horn. I just think that Carnation Craft makes beautiful dies and artwork to go with it. Let me see if I can give us more light. So I'm going to take this one out of the package and share with you what it looks like. So you get a card base, which is this one. And there is artwork you can print out to cut out the base. But I just feel that because I use specialty paper, whenever you buy a digital, guys, do yourself a favor and buy some matte photo paper, at least a 240 GSM, because 300 GSM is really thick. I don't recommend that. But a 240, a 260, if you can get it, a 250 is great for that. But the artwork, and compare it. Print out on a plain, smooth cardstock, and then print out the same image on a matte photo paper, and you will see what I'm talking about. That's when your images really are crisp and they're true to the color they're supposed to be. So I'm going to link the paper that I use in the description box, but it is an A4 because any time that I print for Carnation Craft or Tattered Lace, in the UK, their standard is an A4. So everything they design is designed on an A4. So it's best for you to print that way. Now, if it's in the US and it's a letter size, then print that way. Because a lot of times when you use the wrong paper, as far as the size goes, and you go to print, that will make your images either larger or smaller. I just found that out by printing some artwork, and I noticed that it changed the sizing. So if it's from the UK, I recommend that you print on an A4. If it's from the US, in a letter size, but a matte photo paper. And I will link those two papers in the description box. I was not able to find a paper thick enough in the letter size for our format. but I did find one, and I guess, I mean, I haven't tried it, but I think it's okay. So anyway, you get the card base die, and I already cut mine, all my things out, and then you get all these other layering dies, and I'm going to show you how they work. So here is the artwork to the peacock. I printed out two of these. I printed out this one because I want to turn it into like a Christmas one, and just by cutting out the thank you right here and then adding poinsettias and cutting out the layers in maybe a light blue snowflake, you can turn these cards into Christmas cards. You can also turn them into shakers. So those of you who make shakers, by looking at it, you guys, I know y'all can figure it out. And then they also have the artwork with the true colors of a peacock. And they do give you, when you purchase their dies, you do have one of the artwork that's free. You always, that's standard for them. But you also have an option to buy the different colored artworks, which are called vignettes. So the different color vignettes. I bought the whole thing, and I think I paid $5 or $6, and it's a digital download, so I didn't have to wait for anything once my dies came in. And again, they are printed in an A4 at actual size. And you do want to change your settings on your printer to say A4, high quality printing, not regular or standard, but high quality. And then make sure that your paper settings are on A4 and print either actual size, whatever your printer has, or at 100%. That's how you need to print anything from Carnation Craft. So there. I want to share with you a card that I already put together, and that is this one right here. Look at this beauty, guys. Look at how pretty that is. I'm sorry, and I know it's dark, and I'm trying different filters on my phone to give you the best quality photo, but for some reason, my room, it seems like it's dark in here, but it really isn't. There's a lot of natural light, but I don't know, it just doesn't come off as bright as it is. So anyway, there is the card that I created. As you can see, if I wanted to turn this into a shaker, it's very doable by adding an acetate to this upper layer and then adding foam on the frame. So if you're a card maker, you're going to know how to figure that out with these dies. That's not what I'm going to do today, but I just wanted to share that information with you. And even though this has a curved frame, it does stand up. It stands up. So this would make even a pretty tag. If I was to add a score line right there, going across on the back panel, and adding an eyelet to the front, before I add all my layerings, just the base, before adding anything to it, and adding an eyelet, I could actually make this to where it would open. Actually, the back would open because that's where the score mark would be. So if you wanted to write a sentiment in it, you could. So that's for a future video, hopefully. But for now, I just wanted to share that with you. So I'm going to move that to the side. So I'm going to show you how you cut these out by using the artwork to the peacock. I'm not going to cut it out. I have mine cut out already that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the owl. But I want you to see that this paper is numbered. So you have the number 1 is your base. That's not necessarily to print out for me, but you can if you want to. It's there in the artwork. And then number 2, you just do it in layers. So the step 1 is the base, then 2 is a matting layer, then another matting layer, and then step 4 would be the detail work with the flowers, and then 5 would be the peacock, and 6 would be the layering piece for the peacock. So all you would do is you would take your dies, and I'm not going to take them all off. I'm going to take one off so you can see. You would take your die, face it down, and just line it up. And it's okay if you have a little edge of artwork ink around your your die, you just want to center it as much as possible. They allow that in case you're a little off. In case you're a little off, you still get color all the way to the edge. That's what that's for. So that's all you do. You just line up your dies, and you can again either tape them or use, I cut on the magnetic Anna Griffin shim, and that way I don't have to add tape. But it's up to you. But that's how you do that. So let me get rid of these, and all of these have a die that goes to them. Here are all the dies. So they have all the dies that go to them. Let me remove this and just, let's put one together. I left the dies in with where I cut them so I could remember all the steps, but pretty much it's common sense if you've been making cards as long as we have. Now, I don't like the fact that my base gets these scuff marks on it. The way that I camouflage that is by adding either another matting layer or embossing. If it's a layer that I like, for example, if this is the inside front of my card and I didn't like the scuffs on it, I would just emboss the whole thing because it's small, or just that portion that I'm not going to add a layer to, and when they open it up it would be beautifully embossed, not only on the inside but on the outside, and that kind of camouflages all the scuff marks that you get on your die cut because of the wear and tear on your plates. So this already has a score line where we fold it, so I'm just going to fold it. And I love that beveled edge look from the dies. So there is my card front, my card base. And I did cut it out of 110-pound cardstock. So now we go to step 2, right? So this one is 2 right here. I'm going to move it aside, leave it there. And we're going to add this one directly to this. Now, I'm not going to add foam tape or anything to this layer. I'm just going to add glue and glue it down. I did print on the back of this because my friend Carolyn designed a paper and we were trying to figure out why her printer wasn't printing the right color. We have the same printers, but it must have been something with her printer because mine was printing it out fine. And that's where I shared with her. I printed it out on the photo mat paper so she could see, and on cardstock so she could see the difference. So you guys will be able to see that. So all I'm going to do is layer this as evenly as possible. Sometimes I have trouble with that, like right now. So that's why I use wet glue, because it gives me a little wiggle room to move around, to move my paper around if it's not correct. So there's layer 1. Let me move this one. Here is layer 3. It's the exact same thing, but it's smaller. So here's layer 3. I'm going to leave the die there. Now on this one, if I wanted to, I could add foam to it. I could add foam tape to it, and that way it would have lift depending on how high I want my card. And I do think that I want to add a lift to this, so I'm going to go ahead and add some foam tape to it. Reason I'm using this paper is because of it being an A4 paper that I printed on. It cut off the images, some of the images, because it wasn't formatted for A4 paper. So that's why I say make sure if it's formatted on an A4 paper, then print it out on an A4 paper. If it's formatted, and what I mean by that is when they design it, they used the measurements of an A4 paper or the settings of an A4 paper, then it's best for you to print it out that way. If they use a letter size, then it's best for you to do it that way. So here is the inner frame, and I'm going to take off the backing to the foam tape, and I'm also going to add some glue because that will give me room to, if I need to move it around, I can move it around. So I don't coat the whole thing, just a little bit, enough to be able to move around. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to center it as evenly as possible. And I did notice that this hardly gives you any edging on it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So there is that piece. I would have preferred to use wider tape, but that's what I have up here, so that's what I used. Okay, now we're going to go, that was step 3. Now we have to find step 4, which is this one right here. And I'm going to take that off. And I only ran these once, and it cut beautifully, guys. So I'm just going to take out these pieces. I know that it did because I did one before, and my video cut off. My phone tends to do that sometimes. So I had to delete it and redo it for you. Now I'm going to poke out the insides to this detail work. Now I'm going to cut off, well, maybe not on this one. Nope. I was going to say I'm going to make it a Christmas one, but no. I'm just going to do this the way it's meant to be used, because my peacock one is the one I'm going to turn it into a Christmas one. So here is the layering piece that goes here, but I want, see, if I lay it flat, I don't have any shadows. If I move it up, you get the shadows, and I like the way the shadowing looks. So I'm going to add foam tape to the back of my paper wherever I can. So I'm just going to add some pieces of foam tape in the thicker areas. That way this would be lifted up. I want to have dimension. Okay, in this area it's not lifted up, but I am going to take a foam tape and I'm just going to cut it in half because I want it to be strong, the frame not to collapse in these areas. So I'm going to add these little pieces of foam there where it doesn't collapse. And I have another one here that I used earlier. So this will support that edge. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the double-sided tape. And I'm going to add glue to these as well to give me that wiggle room that I need to move around if I have to. I don't have any nails, guys. So some of you know that I'm dealing with some medical issues that I have to take care of, and hopefully everything will be well. I'm trusting in the Lord that everything will be well. But because of that, I've had to change my diet, and I have lost over 22 pounds in, I'm going to say 3 months. Because let me tell you, I was stuck there for a minute, even though I was eating right and the same amount, I was stuck. So I had to change up. I had to start fasting so I could continue that process because, you know, we're wonderfully made. Our bodies are made to heal. But because of everything that we put in it, the way God created us, it can't work because of what we do to our bodies. So I'm changing that, guys. I'm trusting in the Lord that He's going to give me strength to have willpower, but He's also going to let me see the results of that willpower. You know, it's not, and I'm not starving, you guys. I really am not starving because I'm not a big eater. So for me, it's harder to give up things than the quantity. But with God's help, and I do pray about it, I'm doing it. So all the glory belongs to God because He's the one that gives me the willpower to do it. So, but I have lost over 22 pounds. So I already added glue to the back of my tape, and I'm going to line it up as best as I can. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at how pretty that is. And so by adding the foam tape, and adding dimension, you can see the shadows in my card, and I really like that. So that was number 4. Now we're going to do number 5, which is the owl. And this is just the frame. So here on this one, I'm not going to add height because I'm not going to add height to it because of the frame is so narrow that I don't want to be cutting those small pieces of tape. So I'm not going to add height to that. Let me clean up this mess a little bit. So I'm going to glue it directly down onto my frame, just like that. But I am going to add shape to it, but to the last piece. So let's turn it around and add some glue. I can make a straight line to save my life. For sure. So I'm just going to line this up with the frame and add my little owl there. Oops. If you don't press it down, it gives you enough room to move it if you need to. So there's that. I can go ahead and press it down a little bit. All it needs to do is really just make a little bit of contact. So there's that piece. Now the last piece is the body of the owl. So here it is. That's piece number 6. So this is so easy, guys, because everything is kind of like a paint by numbers. Everything gives you a number of what goes next. But I am going to give shape to this one. I'm going to shape this one. I'm going to shape the head with the largest ball tool. Depending on how big or small, that's how I determine what size of shaping tool I need. So I want to add some shape to the body as well. So there's the wing, and here's the tummy. So I want to round it a little bit more on the wing than anything. A little bit on the belly. And I'm going to bend, see where the head and the body starts? I'm going to bend the head forward. And that looks pretty good. I really don't need to do the body. I could if I wanted to. I really want a lot of, like his feathers are fluffed up on his body. So let's move that. Now for this, I use a glue called Pin Flare. And anytime I order from Carnation Craft, they're the ones I get it from. I think it's 2 tubes for like $5. So I just put some in my shopping cart. Every time I cash out, I have some in there. That way I never run out. I have, plenty. I don't want to have to order just glue and pay a large shipping fee for glue. It's not really large, but I don't want to pay shipping just for glue. So I'm going to add the Pin Flare to the head. And I have it in this syringe. And they do have it with the syringe. And then I'm going to add some Pin Flare to, the body. It must have had a dried up piece in there. I'm going to have to clean that up. Look at how pretty that is. So now I'm just going to add that for him to the top. And his tail is sticking out. So all you have to do is press it down enough to where the glue makes contact with the paper and leave it alone. And just leave it alone, because if you smash it, you push it down, then you're not going to have dimension. This glue is made to hold its dimension, the shape. However thick you put it on there, it should hold that. Unless you smush it down, then you already squeezed everything out. But if it just makes contact, it's going to stay up like that and it's going to dry. So look at how beautiful this little card die is. And I think this measures like a 3x3. So for those of you who like to make 3x3 cards, this would be perfect. Thank you all for watching. I hope that this information that I gave you is helpful to you. And I hope everyone's having a great day. Bye.